Neon Trash, Tommy the Hammer here. Today we are continuing the old Black History Month here on the channel, and tonight is my pick. We're going to be checking out the movie Gridlock, starring Tupac Shakur and Tim Roth. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and actually I wanted to cover this last year, but since we weren't able to do the group dynamic, I had to kind of curtail that plan and went with the movie Above the Rim instead, another film starring Tupac Shakur. But I love this movie so much. The plot kind of speaks to me in a way, even though there's like a lot of bad characters in it. But the overall film itself is very fast-paced. This definitely showcases Tupac Shakur's enigmatic personality and his penchant for being a good actor. And I feel like this is probably his best film, but we're going to let these boys be the judges on that.
I'll be the judge of that. I'll be the judge of that.
Without further ado, guys, check out that trailer. Peep that shit!
Yeah!
We'll be right back, guys.
We gotta get it to a hospital. Look, Doc, a girl just OD'd. She hasn't said a word in over an hour, and I'm scared she's gonna die.
Gurney!
Ever feel like your luck's running out, man? Lately, I've been feeling like my luck's been running out. I'm kicking, and I want you to do it with me. Me and my friend need to get into a detox today.
You got to have a Medicaid card to get into the program.
To get temporary Medicaid, you got to go to the new office. Take a seat. Your name will be called.
Temporary Medicaid cards are issued only for medical necessities.
Why is everything such a hassle with you guys, huh?
Your number has already been called, sir.
Yeah, well, I was in the bathroom.
You'll have to take another number.
What?
Better go on and get this out of my face, man, before I shoot him.
Excuse me, I believe you have something that belongs to us, and we'd like to get it back.
I can't believe you sometimes.
It's almost 5 o'clock, and we're not giving out any more appointments.
We only do referrals here now.
These people working these government jobs, and you can't get them to help you. If by some miracle you do get them to help you, they give you all this attitude, like you're wasting their time or something.
You don't have any insurance. How do you plan to pay for this?
Possibly money order.
3 lefts, a right, and a left.
2 rights, 2 lefts, and a right.
2 rights, 3 lefts, and another 2 lefts.
It's around the corner on the left.
You got beautiful eyes. God bless your eyes.
Fill this out and bring it back to me.
So forget that we bleeding to death.
You walk in here after 5, 10, however many years.
5-0!
And because today is the day you decide to kick, the whole world is supposed to stop!
Somehow I don't think this was my parents' dream for me.
Life is too short, I feel trapped, hoping I don't get caught. Watch my back, lost in the traffic, heart is tragic. Life is a traffic jam. Life is a traffic jam. Life is a traffic jam.
Alright guys, we just got done watching the movie Gridlock starring Tupac Shakur and Tim Roth.
Whoop, whoop.
When it comes down to movies in the 90s, I think like as a teenager, part of the relatability of it all was that I was a wayward youth. So watching movies as a rebellious teenager, I could find these characters to be relatable, even though I would feel like they would kind of go a bridge too far. I mean, I've never done heroin in my entire life. I've never run from the cops. I've never shot at anybody. I've never been stabbed. Nothing like this, but I was doing drugs. I was creeping around graveyards. I was skipping class. You know what I'm saying? I was doing other wayward things, and you would watch a film like this and you were like, ah, a kindred spirit. Outside of that, it was also the dynamic between Tupac Shakur and Tim Roth. There's something about like friendship and brotherhood in movies that I gravitate towards. It's like part of the reason why I love the Ninja Turtles so much is because you have 4 brothers and they're all different and they get along. And then you've got the music, you've got the social commentary about how society is designed to, you know, hold people back, especially people if they happen to be minorities or from a lower income, or, you know, kind of like the projects and things like that. They look at them as if they're lesser individuals, and so they either take them with like a grain of salt or they just don't take them seriously whatsoever. So the hold-ups that the main characters experience in this movie is another thing that's relatable, because, you know, I've been there before where you're trying to get shit done and there's always something in your fucking way.
Fill out this form.
Yeah.
This form.
So, I don't know, like, revisiting this movie I thought was a treat, and I know you guys have never seen it before, so this is like the first time.
And sometimes in filmmaking, storytelling, you have what they call a MacGuffin, right? There's a thing that your characters in the story are chasing after, right? Mm-hmm. And in this movie, it's not an actual tangible thing. They're trying to get sober. Sobriety is the MacGuffin here, right? And so it's kind of a different approach to that kind of a story. I mean, you're right. These characters were very identifiable. You could very much, maybe not so much see yourself in it, but like at least for us that grew up in the '90s, like you could feel that. This is a very '90s movie, right? This felt very '90s to me.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things to like about this film, but I also found myself kind of irritated with it. And I feel like that is part of the point of the movie. I mean, it's about being caught up in a system that doesn't want to help you, and it consistently fucking you over, which is irritating in of itself. But to watch it happen for 90 minutes with like two actors that are likable and good, but aren't really developed throughout this 90-minute runtime, it becomes very repetitive really fast, and like you got the point like 30 minutes into the 90 minutes. And like everything that could go as wrong as it could possibly go does, but then everything that could also go as well as it possibly can happens at times too. So like everything is a little too convenient for me. But I mean, it's a film with a lot of heart and charisma. It's directed in a stylish way. The music stands out. Tim Roth and Tupac have a likable dynamic. I just found itself kind of running thin with the premise that it has.
Going into it, I was surprised by the duo of Tim Roth and Tupac Shakur. I mean, when I think of Tupac, right off I think of his music career, so I almost forget he was an actor. And so this was like the top of his stardom. And then right around that time, Tim Roth was getting pretty big with movies like Reservoir Dogs. I found their dichotomy a little weird because Tim Roth hit that junkie persona so well, and I almost felt like Tupac was above it. He couldn't ham it up enough for me. Where the whole premise of the movie was that they were junkies that were trying to sober up after their friend OD'd, and I just
They didn't sell it well enough.
Yeah, I don't think that Tupac sold the junkie aspect well enough. He was just Tupac, which is fine, but he should have hammed up the I'm a drug addict thing a little more, to be a little more immersed for me in this movie.
I actually agree with pretty much everybody here. I mean, the gripes, the praises. At the end of the day, though, you have to ask yourself, especially with a movie like this, did I enjoy it? Part of the movie's appeal is fun. You're almost supposed to be there's a punk rock aspect to it, if you could put it that way, and you're supposed to enjoy maybe this adventure, and whether or not you do is subjective. So for me, I've often thought this was a great movie. I think it's Tupac's best movie, but that's just me. I'm gonna give this a solid 8 out of 10, a flat 8.
I think one thing this movie does really well is just highlight the absolute flawed system that is, helping the poor, helping addicts, get clean, especially at the time. I mean, things have gotten a little bit better, but, probably not a whole lot, honestly, but this really helped highlight that problem. The system, it isn't broken, it's designed to keep you down like this. This is why, drugs were introduced to African American communities, that they wanted them to be, hooked, and that just, brother was wait, yeah, not just black people, all poor people in general, so it wasn't, it started out as, specifically a race thing, but I think it's definitely turned into a class thing, and that's something a lot of folks really need to realize, and I think this movie kind of starts to show that, at least, for the time period. But I also really enjoyed it. I think it's a strong film, yet has its flaws, but I still really enjoyed it, and I also am going to give it an 8.
There were things to like, but I also found it irritating. And like, I can kind of see where Dean's coming from, but I don't really think it's like a Tupac not acting well enough thing. I think it's that these are two actors that are really playing caricatures. These aren't really like well-developed characters.
Yeah, it's
beyond
see more of the music.
So like, it's fine if Tupac is like the calmer, collected voice of reason throughout this, and it's fine if Tim Roth is crazy, but they're not anything beyond that, which I think is kind of actually what lessens their dynamic for me, because I feel like these are two people that they're just one-dimensional. And then same with the premise, it has a good message at its heart, and it's telling it charismatically, but it runs itself thin because there's not enough development around everything going on. So overall, like, I think it's worth watching, and I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's more middle of the road for me, so I'm like at a 6 out of 10.
I think it's great. It's a fun ride, but like, I think BC is right where he says it kind of like goes a little thin, where it's like, you know, a good story at heart, but like very one-dimensional. I think if you just like, it's like putting a soundtrack into a CD player and just listening to it all the way through. Like, after you get done, you're like, yeah, that was an enjoyable experience. And I feel like feel very similar about the movie, where it's like, that was an enjoyable experience, even though it's not a perfect flick. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
We're just talking about how would Tupac Shakur view the world that we're living in today, 2022. And it's just something that I always reflect upon with dead actors, dead musicians. You know, I mean, I like to, you know, take a sense of time and place where I'm at and think back when someone's life stopped, you know, and that was the 90s. And this was kind of like one of Tupac's last films. So that within itself, I think, is kind of interesting. With all that being said, guys, I hope we've been informative. Until the next time, tune in to Neon Trash.